Did you get a notification yet?
Oh wait, not yet. But
I think it takes
sure,
about
soon.
a minute.
A minute? Okay. 30 seconds maybe. I've got the watch on silent. Okay. Hey, you can't. Are we normally? Because I thought I'm normally on the other side. No.
Wait, why is it flipped on? Huh? No,
Is it?
you are on the other side. For some reason, Skype has flipped it.
Okay.
Wait. Let me just double check. No, you're definitely on the other side. Hang on.
It's okay. No, because like we're kind of facing each other now, so maybe that's better.
Strange. Why is it flipped on Skype?
I don't know.
Not the actual boopity boop boop. Oh, hang on. Horizontal flip. There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
Happier?
got the notification. Got the notification.
There you go. It's
Are
been
we
flipped.
still looking at each other?
No,
Have
we're
to look that
flipped.
way.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh.
Hi, Calvin.
Oh.
Hello.
It's like that VR thing all over again. Okay, ready to go.
I mean, I prefer that just because I usually hide my side of it so that I can see your face and not my face.
Oh.
No. Because when I see my face, it's a little bit distracting. Yeah. All right. All right. Hello, 161. And this is the Naked Tech Podcast, Monday night. Everything you need to know. Okay. Gonna get it in one go.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Ooh, having some tea. I'm gonna have some water. Hello, Twitch. How's y'all going?
Gaming.
Gaming. Have you played Squadrons again? Because I haven't even.
Nope. I'm waiting. I'm waiting till I get a joystick.
Stick of joy. Rude. Okay. Evergreen set. Hang on. What's our intro? That's our intro, and I need to So I'm just doing the color coding.
Ooh, let me get the browser ready.
There we go.
So you put that links in Notion?
Yeah, you're using Notion now?
Sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my other screen that I can link across. Okay, so I have mine. You have whoa. Next web. Oh, you've got this image? Oh, you know what? Why don't I just bring in Notion?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Hang on.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could do that and then just you know, if you need to open a hang on, we've got the same, is that the same? No, it's not. It's not the same article.
It's not the same article, it's just that I think the tags are the same. So how do I save this?
So I was thinking like we can instead of like dividing it up into our own, we could like just put it in the same thing. I don't know. I haven't really figured out pages, so maybe we need pages as well. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know how that goes.
Oh, we'll figure it out as we go. It's just fun to do something new. Okay. All right, let's go.
Okay. Future Trap. Hello and welcome. No, sorry. I need my what do you call it? My notes, not my notes, my script. Otherwise, I can't think. You ready, Kelvin?
Sure am.
All right, 3 and a 2 and a 1. Hello and welcome to episode 161 of the Naked Tech Podcast. It's the show that gives you everything you need to know about consumer tech, internet, and all things the night owls. I'm your friend Jeff Kim.
My name is Kelvin Lee, and all good things have to come to an end.
Aw. No, they don't. I want everything that's good forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
I'm referring to Google Photos finally ending its free service.
Hey, not
Sad
if you're on
times.
Google One already.
I know. So here's the. I think it impacts a lot of people. So I think it's worth starting off the show quickly just to talk about that a little. So Google Photos, I think it's been running since 2013. As of
Great
June,
product, great product.
great product. Nothing like
One
it.
of the best.
I think you do the same as well. Whenever someone goes, "Hey, I lost my phone. I lost all my photos. How do I prevent this from happening?" I immediately say, go download Google app, the Google Photos app, and it will automatically upload everything. You can always do the free version. It does compress the photos to 16 megapixels, but that's enough for most people, right? At one point,
Mm.
photos weren't even being captured at 16 megapixels anyway. So that is now going to be over as of June 2021. So as of June 2021, any photos you add after that will count towards your storage limit, which is 15 gigabytes for those of you who are on the free Google service.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am going to switch to Google One like you have. The issue is, how do I teach it to replace all the compressed photos with the originals?
Well, the question is, are you going to sign up now or are you going to wait until June?
I'm going to sign up now as I because I don't want to go through this in 6 months and have to replace all my compressed photos with the high res ones.
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is you turn off your automatic backup on your phone, download all your high res photos,
If you still have them.
if you still have them, which I
Yeah.
thankfully still have them in backups sitting somewhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Replace all the photos in Google Photos on your computer via a browser because the file names are the same. And when you switch on your backup again, it will think nothing's changed because all the file names are the same.
So you have to back up from your SSD, or do
Sure.
you have to
So you
load them on
upload.
your phone again?
So no, you don't have to load anything in your phone again because the high res versions should all be on your phone anyway. So you
No,
take
so
a
these are like the older ones, I mean, that's off your phone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh right. So right. If you had a number of phones since
Yeah.
then you won't have those photos obviously in that phone anymore, and it will just come up as a you'll be pulling it off the Google Photo service as you know in terms of what you backed up. So I've got 90 gigabytes of photos in my Samsung S10 Plus. The thought of uploading 90 gigs would take days. So it's not going to
You,
be
you could come over
pretty.
to my place, Kelvin, and just do that. It's a lot faster these days,
Definitely.
uploading.
So yeah, it's just the thought of doing all that. I've looked at all the I've looked at the competition. You know, I've looked at Microsoft's OneDrive option. They, no one has the app to do what Google does for photos. I think everything else, I think Microsoft has a play there. It's got the I mean, it's got the Microsoft Office feature that you
Mm.
can download as well. But in terms of just managing your photos, I don't think there's anything like Google Photos. Um, there
Well,
are,
when it's
yeah,
not free, well, when it's free, there's nothing like it. Now, the problem here is an ethical one
yeah,
because of its amazing service, free service
yeah.
for most people. It killed off a lot of competitors initially, including my old favorite,
Mm,
Everpix,
yes, I remember Everpix.
and they just couldn't compete with a free service, right? And now, you know, will they come back
hmm, I don't know. I mean, there's talk of
or
Flickr,
something like it? Yeah.
like,
Mm,
clapping their hands now and everything because Flickr's been around since the beginning of, it's been around for the longest time, and now they're probably going to pick up a lot of, what Google Photos users are going to drop off. But yeah, Dropbox is going to be around. I want to see what happens between now and June in terms of who's going to pick up their game, because I can see the likes of Microsoft, Amazon, anyone with any sort of data storage service just creating better photo apps. I think this will push people to do better things. Um,
mm.
and if I do move into the iOS ecosystem, I will have a good look at iCloud and see how that works for me and my wife, and the price and family sharing, etc., which is a big factor to this.
Yeah. So you said 90 gigs on your phone. Like, what have you counted what we have on Google already with the
So
non high quality?
no, I actually haven't.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know what? Why don't you present today's show while I have a quick look?
Yeah, so we got obviously there's another Apple event that happened. They called it the One More Thing event just because it is November. Is it November? It is November now. And we're getting to that Christmas period. A lot of these things will be out by Christmas.
Hmm.
Unbelievable. 2020, we made it. I mean, we all made it to Christmas almost. Might not happen actually. Come to think of it. And yeah, so obviously a few things announced there. We'll go through that in our very particular way with lots of clips. I have a bit of a thing happening that you sent me. There's a Nine News report on, let's say it's some way to track sick people.
Hmm. And it's
Yeah.
gonna be. I think it's gonna be good to stick around for because it's pretty funny in a very OMG kind of way. But I think let's kick off with the Apple One More Thing event.
Yes, we shall. So the M1 chip is what the Apple Silicon chip is called now. Kind of predictable, I guess. You know, you've got the W1 chip or
Hmm.
W, I don't know, whatever it is on the watch now. What's another one? On the phones, we've got the S chips.
The
Yeah, the S chips.
A14, A chip.
The A series chips.
Yep.
So M4 Mac, I suppose.
Totally.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I've got a quick clip since we're talking about the A series chips and the M series chips. Um, I've been really so this is from Snazzy Labs. I'm not sure if you've watched the videos before. I kind of like him. He's very technical, but he explains things in a really easy to follow way. So here's him explaining why the rumors that the M1 chip was just a copy of the A14 chip is just not true.
Okay, I'm gonna take a bit of a guess at which clip, but here goes.
Unlike many rumors indicated, it is not the same chip. Apple mentioned a 16 billion transistor count, which is about 35% more than the standard A14. So this means a higher core count and probably a higher clock speed. It's basically like an A14X or Z.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, the A14 is in the iPhone 12 and the iPads at the moment. And it's already, there's nothing in the Qualcomm Snapdragon world that can compete with that at the moment.
Mm. Yes. I'm just wondering whether I should play my clip from Marquez. No, I'm not. That's not the right one. So let's go on. So yeah, these M1 chips, they're going to be on a couple of devices. So let's just go through them. The new MacBook Air and the 13-inch MacBook Pro,
Mm-hmm.
and the Mac Mini as well. So those are the three devices. The MacBook Air, does that come in different sizes or is that the standard
Not
size?
just the one MacBook Air.
Yeah. In terms of the performance, though, I do have a clip, so maybe bring that up on the screen, Calvin. But
Mm-hmm.
Geekbench has released their first findings, so this might not be the be all and end all, but it is actually the MacBook Air anyway. It's outperforming the high end 16-inch MacBook Pros from last year, which I think is pretty impressive.
Yeah, which is the one I have. Which is the one
All
that
right.
yeah. So they're doing really something amazing here, and we're going to talk about that a lot today. So don't think that just because it has a iPhone chip, it's going to be slow or anything. It's beating an iCore, it's beating an i9 Intel processor.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I love about the M1 chip is that they didn't mention the gigahertz, the DDR RAM speed, anything like that throughout the event because I think all that is not important anymore. And I think Apple is going to kick off that trend with efficiency being the play here, not the gigahertz,
Mm-hmm.
not the amount of RAM you have. It's all about efficiency.
Right, and if you are watching on Twitch, you might find that the screen might be reversed uh, vertically there. So I'm not sure what's going on. But yes, yeah. Even if we get down to even the Mac Pro, although that's the last one was from late 2013, it is pretty impressive in the way it's performing, at least in the initial findings. Um, yeah, like what's my situation? My situation is a MacBook Air from 2018. So obviously I'm not going to get this new one. But it is kind of tempting, and I feel like, well, what can they do by the M3?
Mm.
That's what I'm thinking right now.
So I think I've got a clip from Snazzy Labs again, just talking about why the M1 chip is beating Intel chips like the i9, which is designed for heavy usage and high computational power. It's a lot about the
M1 chip.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just going to set it up really
Go on.
quickly. Most computers, the way it works is you have a GPU, which handles your graphics. You have a controller that handles your USB. You have a security chip like Intel, like the Apple used to have, called the T2. What they've done is basically just squished everything into one single chip. And Snazzy's going to just cover that really quickly.
The M1 chip absorbs all of these chips and their functions into one package by stacking smaller packages on top of and beside each other to make one super package system on chip. Why do this, you ask? Well, there are several advantages. Cost and size are all part of it, but the thing that matters to most of us as consumers is speed and efficiency. When all of these pieces are separate, signals need to go back and forth between the chips, usually through a substrate like a PCB. The signals can travel more efficiently and more quickly when self-contained inside of a singular microchip. Of course, this makes manufacturing said chip significantly more difficult, though Apple seems confident that they can pull it off. Another unique and interesting design decision is a unified memory pool. Unlike more traditional setups that have individual memory stores per component, this new unified memory architecture will allow the components of the SoC to share memory on the fly without having to copy data between separate pools. And this has the side benefit of being easier to program for. But in short, Apple really says that it should just make things feel a lot faster.
Yeah, so sorry for that clip. It's a little long, but it encapsulates everything into less than a minute. What we used to think about of is RAM and GPU and cores to do AI and cores to do that and cores to be efficient is all just stacked together in a chip, and it just talks between each other on a sort of very layered sense. So everything's stacked on top of each other. They don't have to travel through a motherboard to talk to each other, which is crazy.
Yeah, and the other big benefit of having all of this in the one chip system on a chip, I think they call it SoC, is the battery life as well. So lots of power efficiency, I suppose, is getting out of this. Now, like as part of the event, the One More Thing event, they put out a lot of numbers, and I think on the screen you can probably see in the comparisons 3 times faster than this, 5 times bigger than that. That was a little bit confusing. I've got Marquez here just playing around with those thoughts.
Then they said it's 3 times faster than the best-selling Windows laptop in its class. But like, what even is the best what's the best-selling Windows laptop? We all know the best-selling ones aren't the best performing ones. So what do you compare? That's kind of a weird slide.
Yeah, so I guess that's classic Apple. They're not really being open about the comparisons. I guess I think in terms of battery life, they do compare it to the previous models, so that there is some baseline there. But like the best-selling Windows device, what is that, Kelvin? Huawei.
No, I think that's the thing, right? It's quite funny. I watched the event, and poor HP gets like shown on the screen a few times, and so I think it's a HP system. But the other thing is, look at your phone right now. Imagine that in your laptop. So now the whole motherboard that used to be the size of, I don't know, a small book is now the size of your phone. So the reason why the battery life is so good is because everything else is now just filled with battery. So the actual size of the SoC is so small, they can fit the entire laptop just full of batteries now. And before we move away from the battery, this is probably the number one reason why you should buy the new MacBooks with the new Apple Silicon now, because Dave 2D is going to cover off what this actually really means. I mean, no one else can create a laptop with this much battery life.
You cannot get this type of power efficiency on any other laptop right now. It's just not possible. I've seen a few of them on this channel. Here's the thing. I've seen so many laptop companies claim X number of battery life hours, right? It's just, you've never seen 20. It's never been done before on a 13-inch device. 20 hours of video playback is bonkers. Like that's a solid 50% more for the same battery size as the previous generation. It's as if it's new battery tech, right? And imagine there was some new carbon-based battery that imagine that came out. Hey, here's some new batteries that are 50% better than what you had before. That's what it feels like. This is how significant it is. And when I look into the comments and people are complaining about, oh, the bezels are the same, they didn't change the heart. Like, who cares? 50% better battery life.
Go, Dave.
Yeah, and it's more than your phone. Your phone will most probably have an on-screen time of 7-8 hours if it's super big like mine or the new 12 Pro Max. So that's twice
Definitely not the
that.
mini.
Definitely not the mini. So just, like I've got it on screen right now. So you can just play videos for 20 hours. 20
Yeah, it's probably
hours.
not of a big thing in 2020, but because everyone's at home. But yeah, I guess in theory, this is a great thing when people can travel again and be outdoors. Everything sounds good. Now, probably worth wrapping this session up, but or segment, I should say. I've got Marquez again, just kind of talking about. Well, he's going to talk about the best quote that he got from the event.
The most important quote of this event was near the end when they said, the 13-inch MacBook Pro is the ultimate expression of what the M1 chip can do.
The ultimate expression.
The-
I really love that. Yeah.
Okay then, Apple. I'm sure you tested.
Sure.
I'm sure you tested out on some, group of people, and that responded well. Should we talk about the differences between the three M1 machines?
Let's do it.
So, chip-wise, no difference at all. They've all got the M1 chip. The difference is how it's cooled. Actually, I correct myself. The MacBook Air has one less GPU core, I think. The biggest difference is how it's cooled. So the way chips work is, whenever you do something that's really intensive, it heats up. The more you cool it, the more it can sustain that max speed. Chips are designed to throttle themselves down if it gets too hot. The MacBook Air has no fans, so it's going to be very difficult to sustain high loads. The MacBook Pro will have a fan, one fan, and that will help it sustain better loads. The Mac Mini is going to have a bigger fan and a bigger chassis to sort of get air in it, so it can sustain it even longer. So it's really changed the way Apple will promote their laptops now, because there is no i7, i9 numbers to look at. It really is your use case and what you want to use them for.
Yeah, I didn't realize that made such a difference. Also, the pricing. How do we feel about the price? I feel like it's been taken well in terms of I mean, if we're talking about 3 times, at least even 2 times better than the previous version, I think that's. I don't think Apple has had that sort of jump from a generation before. So this is like, yeah, massive, right? It's like going from, like you said, from Intel to their own chip, and this is the result.
Kind of a few strange choices though. Like the MacBook Pro only has 2 Thunderbolt USB-C ports, whereas my MacBook Pro 16-inch has 4 of them, and I find that I've got them all filled out with something. So the other thing that's really disappointing with my MacBook Pro is the way it connects to screens. It really struggles knowing what to do. You've got to put USB-Cs on each side, because that's how it works basically. If you want to support for each screen, you need to connect it on each side of the MacBook, because they each have different Thunderbolt controllers. This will only have one, so if you're running more than one screen, this is not going to be the laptop for you.
Well, you can put your iPad and use it as the side screen.
So
obviously not as good as
that's a really good point. Why would you buy the iPad now if you can buy a MacBook Air? Because the battery life is longer, you got a proper keyboard, there's lappability, which I love that word. It's faster, and you can now run iPad OS. I mean, you can now run the OS apps, sorry. Touchscreen, I guess, but I don't know, man. I mean, for my use case, if I had to buy a new iPad, I'd buy the MacBook Air. The
So some
versatility.
people are some people are predicting touchscreens to the Macs, the MacBooks anyway. No, never going to happen.
If you can't even get USB-C in your iPhone 12, do you really think you're going to get a touch screen on your MacBooks?
I feel like it's going to happen.
Hmm.
I'm going to give it like 3 years. I think they'll bend. I think they will bend, just because, I mean, the amount of people that come up to you like even in the office setting, that's a thing anymore. They'll come up to your screen and start swiping at your laptop thing. I mean, I do it to other people.
That's not very COVID safe, man.
It's not. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do it. I should be wearing gloves.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'd be interesting, because then what happens to the iPad? If you make the
Well,
MacBook Airs touchable, what happens
the
to the
lines are
iPads?
blurred.
Totally.
Lines are blurred. Yeah. So maybe they're holding it out just to have that separation.
The other thing that, yeah, it would be interesting to see how popular these models are, because the other really odd thing was the Mac Mini is $100 cheaper US than the previous generation, but not the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro, which is strange, because don't you want people to jump on board ASAP? And isn't it cheaper now that you're creating your own silicon? So it's still Gen 1. So it's really interesting to look at their pricing strategy, because do they want more people to buy the Mac Minis? Is that why? Or is it so old, design-wise?
Well, I think, if you get down to it, it is the first generation of an Apple product from a chip point of view. I mean, the general thinking is to stay away from those, right? But you would think by M2, M3, this is going to be an amazing thing. And I think, we're talking about 3 times, 5 times improvements. Like I think you could blow that out of the water. Just from them being able to optimize this, and I'm sure they're testing the hell out of people's usage right now. Are they available now? I think they are.
Let's have a look. I'm gonna go to buy a Mac Mini.
Okay. Yeah.
Available 11/17, so 17th of November.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 2 Mac Minis you can get, just storage differences. And I wouldn't look at I'd freak out about the 8 gigabytes of RAM, but in this case, the way the M1 chip works just changes all of that. And once Photoshop jumps on board, and the other Adobe programs, this is really changing the game, because now you can play your Mac, your OS, your phone games are now available as well, so you can start doing that. I mean, that would be kind of weird, but hey.
I mean, you could kind of do that with Apple TV. I don't know if people are doing that at the moment, so it remains to be seen. This wasn't from the announcement, just the past announcement, but 2 announcements ago. I'm actually considering getting the HomePod Mini, Kelvin.
Oh, interesting.
For $150 Australian.
Where do you find that on the website?
The reviews are coming in.
Yeah.
Where do you find it? That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, the reviews are coming in the last week or so, and even from the sound quality, like I guess I'm playing some music at home, but it's usually just off the phone. My Google, what is it? The Home Mini? What is it? The Google Home Mini.
Don't even know anymore. I think so.
Is it a Nest Mini?
I think it's the Nest Mini. Yeah.
Yeah, but the sound is pretty tinny and kind of terrible, right? So I don't bother playing music off that. Now, Spotify is not connected to the HomePod yet, but I think Apple are allowing them. Spotify just haven't built that capability yet, but I'm hoping that's coming.
Because Spotify hates Apple, don't they?
Possibly. Hate is a pretty strong word, Calvin, but I mean, even from the phone, I could just kind of go near it and then it'll connect automatically. That feature is pretty cool. I've seen those demos in the last week. So yeah, I'm really considering it. I think just from a speaker sense, I think apparently, the what is it, the UE booms, they cost about $150 now, don't they?
They do.
Good ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, the HomePod Minis, they really fill the room, and I think it's I've got a pretty small place here, but yeah, I could see myself rocking out to that.
Does it just play via AirPlay, so you can play anything that comes out of your phone?
Well, you connect it, but is it more like a Chromecast in that it just starts streaming from the device? I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Because I remember the reason why people hated the original HomePods was because it couldn't do anything but Apple Music. I'm looking at no, it looks like you can now stream audio from more sources of AirPlay. So you can get it to directly connect to Apple Music, or you can stream it via your phone via AirPlay. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
So you have to be locked into the Apple ecosystem for sure. And hey,
Okay.
I'm one of those.
Really? Should we go through all your devices? No, I'm kidding. No, I think
Yeah.
I saw the video by Marquez. Apparently, he loves it, and he's really into audio, so it's a safe bet.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on from Apple, Kelvin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play a quick follow-up from, I think it was the previous episode where we talked about the think tank that recommended a Australian social network if Facebook and Google don't play ball.
I can't wait.
This was from the Reckoner. Do you remember the Reckoner podcast?
I do remember the record. Are you serious?
Pete Wells is no longer there, but it's Anthony Aegis and I can't remember the other guy. But
the other guy.
Anthony, we love Ant. Decryption on Twitter. He's got a newsletter thing, which is cool. I don't subscribe, but maybe I should. But this was his idea for an Australian social network, Kelvin.
See, we already have an Australian social network, and it's called Whirlpool. Why can't we just use that? Perfect. Make it mandatory. So when you log into MyGov, there's like Whirlpool there. You get share stuff through.
I mean, there's no trolls on Whirlpool at all.
Whirlpool. When was the last time you were in Whirlpool?
Dude, I used to be on it a lot. Like, no, and this is, and he makes so much sense. I don't know why, I hate myself for not thinking about these things, but look at the forums on OzBargain, look at the forums on Whirlpool, merge those two platforms, and you've got everything you need for a social network. Before I sign up for any ISP, before I buy any modem, before I buy any router or PC, I scroll through Whirlpool. It is too tech heavy though. I don't see anyone, talking about cycling or fashion.
Is there like a concept of identity on Whirlpool? Like, or is it just, decryption 1, 2, 3?
It's a forum. You can be whatever you want.
It's a forum. It's a bulletin board.
Pretty much. In case you're interested, we are Naked Tech Podcast on OzBargain.
Oh, we're there. Hey, we're
well,
everywhere.
I'm there just, being snappy and making comments and trolling people to try and get the show out there. But yes, that's a problem.
Working it, Kelvin, working it. Okay. Okay, we're gonna take a bit of a left turn, right turn. Definitely not down the middle here. You can treat that as you like. Now, Download This Show is something else that I listen to on a regular basis, and this time they were talking about how 2020 is a lot of things, but it's also the year the QR code became mainstream. So it's everywhere. I think everyone knows what a QR code except a certain type of people. And this is who is this? This is Jesse Hughes from Download This Show.
Like if we put the phone over it, automatically opens it up. You go straight to the page. I think that's going to make it a lot easier for people, because I have seen like older users putting their phones over it. The notification pops up and they think that's them signed in. Like that's it. But no, that's just the notification to press on it to open up Safari to then put in your details.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of examples just this week on this. So I mean, maybe old people generally don't go out as much, but I was having lunch in Balmoral, and I just saw a bunch of people coming in. Like maybe in Balmoral there's more old people, and they just couldn't work out how to scan the bloody QR code. And later that day I went to my parents, and mum's like, just I don't know what's going on. She actually takes photos of the QR code instead.
So wait,
it's a camera app. Yeah.
Which, Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Interesting, because Android's messy. The Samsung phones know what to do with it, but in most cases you have to download a stupid app with ads all over it. Apple, does it automatically detect the QR code?
So, okay, what Jesse was suggesting was because on iOS you have to use the camera app. Well, you don't have to, but that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
built-in part. I think it came in maybe iOS 12 a couple of years ago. It just became a thing in 2020 because, yep, like there's a grid of black and white dots, and you have to turn the camera on. That's what everyone does. But then, like for Mum who is not used to it, and like they kept on telling her use a camera app, so she took a photo of it, and she's like, oh yeah, am I signed in now?
Am I done?
You know, and then she just couldn't understand to like what happens after that is there's a little drop down from the top, like a little notification, and you have to tap that to go to that web page.
Yeah.
So what Jesse was suggesting was that they should just automate that. So whenever it detects some sort of QR information, then it should automatically go to the website.
You see, here's the thing. QR, although it's not popular here, is huge in countries like Japan. Like you see them everywhere, and it's been like that for decades. They do a lot more than just send you off to websites.
It's a payment platform.
Yeah. So there's a reason why it's Apple and Android and everybody else have decided to keep it so, I don't know, what's the right word for it? Like it really is up to the user to decide what they want to do with the information that comes via the QR code. So it really is just us on this side of the world. I mean, most people in Asia know exactly what to do with these things. So it's a bit of education rather than forcing the technology to try and be smarter about it. But I wish it can. I guess it can, right? If it picks up a HTTP link, it can open the browser for you, but we can educate as well, I guess. I don't know.
But where do you stop though? Like soon you're gonna have QR codes everywhere, maybe, and it's like you put your camera app on, and it might detect. It's like detecting faces. Yeah, like which web page is it gonna bring up? Anyway, I think there's if Apple probably haven't implemented that just because of the security element of it. So, but I think I don't know. It's a somewhat good idea for the old folks, but I don't know. I haven't had any problems with.
You're totally right, though. It's a real issue because there are people in Asia who stick. There are scammers who stick their QR codes over the payment QR codes, so that when you take a photo of it, it takes you to a nefarious site rather than the payment site, and they steal your information. So totally a legit issue.
Right. So we're going to stay on theme because, ultimately the QR codes are to keep you safe. And you sent me this YouTube clip from 9 News, which I kind of sort of laughed it off. But then I actually saw it, and it was amazing.
I'm glad I could help.
Here is Peter Overton with a bit of an intro on what this new product is to help us keep safe.
Confirmed cases of coronavirus in Sydney's southwest are being monitored from home with the trial of a new smart armband.
I'm just ringing to see how you are feeling today.
Today, they've shown 9 News their newest asset, a small armband designed to closely monitor patients self-isolating at home.
Intriguing. So you're wearing something. It's a band on your biceps.
It's huge, by the way. It's not small. They say it's small.
Yes. So on the what do you call that? The thumbnail, I thought that was the wrist, but it's actually someone's bicep. So it is quite huge. And I guess the idea is maybe you've been tested and you're sort of self-quarantining for a couple of days, and signals are happening through this armband, and people are monitoring it in real time. I think that sounds reasonable for now, doesn't it?
Yes, but there's something else available that does exactly the same thing.
Yes, okay. My smartwatch it's going to some server. I don't know if it's going to the New South Wales government server, but anyway, we don't even know if that's the case. But people are monitoring it, and you did hear a little bit of a lady saying, "Hey, just calling to see if you're okay." This is not a scenario that could happen, Kelvin.
The armband monitors the patient's heart rate, respiratory rate. It also monitors the anxiety levels.
I'm just worried about the heart rate on this patient here. It's up at a fairly high compared to normal.
Should symptoms escalate, they can send out nurses in PPE for a home visit or arrange for the patient to be transferred to hospital.
Or
your heart rate's gone through the roof. Yeah.
Or they're just exercising.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
On a treadmill.
Like, wow, this guy's really spiking at 180. Let's send a whole crew in PPE through his window, and just tackle him to the ground and tell him to stop exercising. It's not going to work.
I'm thinking about that scene in E.T. Going back a bit, Kelvin. Do you remember E.T.?
E what again? No, I'm kidding. Of course I know E.T.
The extraterrestrial, and they people turn up in this gear. It's like a hazmat suit. It's not quite PPE, I suppose, but that's what I'm thinking. Like a whole locking down the street because their heart rate has gone above 160. Now, best of all, this my final clip from this story is who is this guy? I thought I wrote this down. I did not.
Random dude.
He's the oh God, I can't remember his name, but he's the Health Minister of New South Wales.
Brad Hazard.
Brad Hazard, yes. Did I write that down?
No, I know my politics.
Well, okay. Well, he's been around. He's probably more famous than people on the block. So here he is with the quote of the year.
Like all crises, good things sometimes come in other areas, and I would expect that this will be working so well for COVID, it may well be rolled out for other types of health conditions.
So they're talking about putting GPS onto this.
Okay. This is nothing more than fancy political showmanship. What did you do for COVID? Well, I created this thing that you attach to your arm that sends. Well, the other thing that's not clear is how is it sending information back to New South Wales Health? Bluetooth via your phone? I guess
there's got to be some sort of Bluetooth. I guess there's an app you have to have your phone with you. I guess. I mean, like they could have done that on your phone, but I guess they can't get the heart rate. Okay, so I mean, like, yeah, there are reasons for this, and like from a certain point of view, to use that phrasing, this is totally understandable. But it does feel like a bit of a slippery slope, does it not, Kelvin?
I think it's circumstantial. I think if you come back from overseas and the whole hotel quarantine program is costing us an arm and a leg, and if you're okay with putting on this, all I can think of is like an ankle bracelet that they give you when you're under home arrest. And you send information back and you stay in one location and you be a good boy / girl. Yeah, I can see this having its place, but
you could always just take it off unless they give you some sort of ankle bracelet that you can't take off.
Then your heart rate drops to 0 and then you're dead.
Then there'll be people knocking at your door for sure. Now, okay, so they didn't really go on to the actual tech or the company that's delivering this device, let's call it, and it turns out it's a bio version. I think it's on the thumbnail there. So I did look into them. The particular product is called Everion. And there was one of the shots had the actual box. So imagine getting a box of this. In big labels, H1 label on the box, H1. It says non-invasive psychological monitoring. That's what they're calling it.
Non-invasive psychological
monitoring.
So
I think this was built to like track anxiety. I think they did mention that in the clip, right?
Yes.
So, and I did dig into this even further, and you got it on the screen. A company called Biofermis bought Bioversion last year. Now, and then if you go into them, they're a US-based company, so I guess I'm not sure if they're listed or anything like that. They got some pretty big hitters there, former Microsoft executives, people that's been around the whole biomedical industry as well. But yeah, like the big question is like, well, to service this kind of thing, technology, you need some server farm to collect all of this, right? So this is not good. This is not good, Kelvin. The whole website, if you go through it, Biofermis, it just reads like it's a bit of science fiction, something from Gattaca, or I don't like this at all.
Well, it's got doctors from Singapore, from Duke. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm sure, in terms of the personnel, they got the brightest and greatest talent, lots of PhDs, lot of smart people here. But I think we're sort of like, I hope we don't use the current situation as a way to fast track a lot of this data collection, because that's what it is. You're collecting it. I mean, there was a guy who was the chief privacy officer who happens to be Chinese. Not that that means anything. He's got a Chinese name, all right? Okay. But yeah, it's I just don't like this. I really don't.
No, I
And
mean,
how quickly this can be rolled out to the masses is a scary part for me.
and we all know that the New South Wales government has a horrible track record of keeping anything private. I remember the whole situation where someone lost a laptop, or was it a whole bunch of DVDs with records on them on a train station? Like, I wouldn't trust New South Wales Health to store all this data.
Well, I mean, that's one thing, but I'm sure this is, they're not even handling the data. It's going straight to like biopharmacists servers, right?
Even
Like
scarier.
a corporate thing. That's even worse, in a way, or maybe better. I'm not sure, but like, I just wanted to just, these stories are going out to mainstream media. We're not fans of them, but like all of this feels somewhat orchestrated. Sure, it's interesting technology, if you can call it a technology, but yeah, it's just data collection. That's what it is.
Yep. And on that very happy, bright note about the future of data collection, we hope you enjoyed episode 161. For all the other 160 episodes, don't forget to go to our website. That's nakedtechpodcast.com. Feel free to reach out to us on any of the social networks. That's Kelp.
And Jeff out.
I'm just looking at these guys. Like, they just look like every other tech startup. Like, look at these guys. Like, would you really trust your...
I'm sure they're fine.
But look at the founder, the co-founder, the COO. I mean...
What is that filter that they're using? What are
know,
they...
It's like the filter version of Comic Sans. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they just don't look like they have it together. Anyway,
all those companies are the collaborators, I should say, and got Novartis, got
AstraZeneca,
Pharma, massive companies, and then New South Wales Health.
And you got Singapore Health as well, like the University of Hong Kong, NHS.
Just Northampton General Hospital.
Just that one part of the NHS. No, that's scary stuff. Scary.
It's like a harmless YouTube clip you sent me, and that's what happened.
Yeah. How many hours did you spend on this, sleuthing around?
No, just 30 minutes before we started.
On that note, I'm stopping the stream before we say anything that might damage the show. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you.